Today we are going to study about nervous system. In nervous system, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. In central nervous system, spinal cord and the brain are the main part and which we are going to study. So we'll recap that because recording was not started. So central nervous system, brain and the spine, and peripheral nervous system, nerve corresponding to body to connecting to body to the central nervous system. And there is another function called as a reflex action that we will see, where the brain and spinal cord, they don't come, brain doesn't come into picture. Suddenly we react. So we'll see, we'll study about it also. And basic neuron, anatomy of the neuron also we'll be able to study. And as I told you, there are some links connected between nervous system and the chakras. So we will be considering that also. And what are the remedies later, what are the disorders and how we can tackle that also we'll see in our next topics. So
in this animation, we want to explain the human nervous system with the help of incredible never-before-seen images. The body's nervous system is a complex system made up of countless nerve cells that serve, among other things, to process stimuli from the environment. A distinction is generally made between the central and peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system runs through the entire body and is shown here in yellow. The brain and spinal cord are part of the central nervous system. They are well protected by the skull and spinal column. Our spinal column consists of individual vertebrae that have a spinal canal containing fatty and connective tissue and the spinal cord. Like the brain, the spinal cord is enclosed in 3 membranes. The outer membrane of the spinal cord is called dura mater. The arachnoid mater is located directly under the dura mater. This arachnoid mater is connected to the pia mater via arachnoid trabeculae. The spinal nerves of the peripheral nervous system lead into the spinal cord, whereby the spinal nerve is divided into afferent and efferent fibers. The afferent nerve fibers conduct nerve impulses from the sensory receptors to the central nervous system, while efferent nerve fibers carries impulses to effector organs, mainly muscles and glands. We will take a closer look at the thickening that we call spinal ganglion or dorsal root ganglion in a moment. Blood vessels and many nerve fibers are part of a spinal nerve. Several nerve fibers form a nerve fascicle. Nerve fibers are enclosed by a connective tissue layer of endoneurium. Schwann cells are located under this protective layer. If these cells are wrapped around the axon several times, they are able to increase the conduction speed of an impulse. The increase in conduction speed is achieved by regular interruptions, which are known as nodes of Ranvier. The cell uses an axon to conduct electrical impulses. Let us first take a look at the basic structure of a nerve cell. Nerve cells consist of the nerve fiber mentioned earlier, which originates from a cell body. Inside, we see the glowing cell nucleus. Dendrites, mainly used to receive stimuli, also originate from the cell body. At the end of an axon are terminal buttons. These small knobs form the first part of the synapse and are therefore called presynaptic terminals. Terminal buttons possess calcium channels that can open and close. These calcium channels open via an electrical impulse. As soon as the action potential reaches the terminal button, the calcium channels open and allow calcium ions to flow in. There are vesicles in the terminal button. These vesicles contain neurotransmitters, which are shown here as red spheres. There are approximately 200 to 500 such vesicles in the synaptic terminal buttons. The calcium ions enable these vesicles to fuse with the outer layer, that is, the membrane of the cell. The fusion of the vesicle with the membrane allows the neurotransmitters to be transported out of the cell. This process is known as exocytosis. The neurotransmitters are absorbed by receptors located on the postsynaptic cell membrane, which convert the neurotransmitters back into an electrical impulse. With the help of such a chemical synapse, a nerve cell can transmit its signal to another nerve cell. For this purpose, the dendrites have spines which possess the postsynapses mentioned before. Spines can take many forms, including stubby and thin. Terminal buttons can not only transmit impulses via the spines of dendrites, they can also transmit their action potential directly to the cell. It is also possible for a terminal button to form a synapse with another axon or terminal button. Nerve cells can and must also be able to transmit impulses to other cells, such as our muscle cells, so that we can move. But now let's get back to the spinal cord and nerves. The impulses are transmitted via the nerve fibers. On one side, impulses come from the spinal cord. On the other side, they are transmitted to the spinal cord. The cell bodies of the sensory neurons are located in the spinal ganglion. That is why this part of a spinal nerve is thicker than the other part. The neurons in the dorsal root ganglion are pseudounipolar neurons, in which the axon is divided into two branches. One branch goes to the periphery, for example to the skin, and the other to the central nervous system. Impulses are transmitted from the skin to the central nervous system via the axon. On the function, neurons can also have unmyelinated nerve fibers. In that case, non-myelinating Schwann cells ensheath the axon. That means that there is no increase in conduction speed. Let's take a look at the process with the help of a highly simplified image. On the fingertips in particular, we have numerous receptors at the ends of sensory nerve fibers. If the receptors of a sensory neuron receive a mechanical stimulus, this stimulus is converted into an electrical impulse and transmitted via the axon to another neuron in the spinal cord. The neuron in the spinal cord transmits the action potential to the brain, where another neuron finally transmits the impulse to the somatosensory cortex. The impulse is then processed. As already mentioned, there are numerous receptors in the skin. Some receptors are located in the upper layer of the skin, the epidermis, which is made up of dead and living keratinocytes. Meissner corpuscles and Merkel cells are found here. Other receptors are located in deeper layers of the skin, such as Ruffini corpuscles, which are found in the dermis. There are many other receptors, but only these three will be briefly described here. Let's start with the Meissner's corpuscle. As soon as pressure is applied to the Meissner's corpuscle, for example by pressing on the skin, an action potential is triggered. This action potential only occurs when there is a change in pressure. Meissner's corpuscles are therefore rapidly adapting mechanoreceptors. Merkel cells, on the other hand, belong to the slowly adapting mechanoreceptors, as they trigger an action potential in response to both dynamic and static stimuli. Ruffini corpuscles trigger an action potential when the tissue is stretched. Ruffini corpuscles also belong to slowly adapting mechanoreceptors of the skin. Let's take another look at the spinal cord and the spinal nerves. The axons of the sensory nerves end at nerve cells in the spinal cord. Nerve fibers, which can be seen here as thin threads extending into the brain, originate from the cell bodies of these nerve cells. The nerve fibers are referred to as white and the cell bodies as gray matter. When the receptors of the skin or organs generate an action potential, they transmit this action potential via the nerve fibers to the gray matter, after which the action potential is transmitted to the brain via the white matter. From above, we can see the butterfly-shaped structure of the gray matter. However, impulses can also be processed directly in the spinal cord. Sensory fibers transmit impulses directly or indirectly to motor nerve fibers, which can then contract or relax a muscle. This is called reflex. Such a reflex occurs when we burn ourselves. Receptors then transmit impulses via sensory neurons to interneurons, which then cause motor neurons to contract muscles. In this,
See, we already discussed that, brain and the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, these all constitute the whole nervous system. And what we saw in the previous video is, suppose someone is not getting the sensation in the fingers, you should be able to visualize what are all that functions coming on the way. So we have a number, we have a radionic rate for each and every cell, or you can say each and every function, each and every part what is used in the nervous system, we have everything there. So you can, another way we can treat it from the beginning of the sensation to the brain, you can make a chain of those remedies and can give one by one, and you are all very lucky that you will get ready-made stuff when people come to you, your help, because they already have they do the conduction test. In nerve conduction test they do, and they mark with the X like that. These areas are less in the sensitivity, like everything it will come to you. So with that, see, the other field, the modern medicine will explain you fantastically. But when the aspect of recovery comes, that is a challenge. So either they have few things like anti-inflammatory and what you call steroids, which will help them. He'll help this mechanism. They very easily they say that we go okay, this one okay, we give this particular steroid to have this to start this function, means to compensate this function. But here we can imagine every part of that nervous system. We spiritual healers, or you can say drugless therapists or vibronic practitioner, we can precisely imagine that particular place in the nerve, and we can generate the thought infused water, and we can give to correct those things. Okay, then we will see about the brain and what are the function of brain. If even disorder of the brain also, it is covered in this. So we will be able to precisely know what causes what. And you see, it will be telling you the ideal function of the brain. Then you can think, if this is not working, then what we should give. So you should always think in that way. Okay, they say if it is function of brain, this. If not, what will happen? If this is not happening, then where we should see?
Animation, we will explain how our brain works with breathtaking images. During pregnancy, a new human being is formed in the womb. A brain develops in which the cerebrum has no folds. Soon, however, brain folds develop that enable our cerebrum to have an incredible number of neurons in a very small space. Let's take a look at the general design of our brain. The brain is generally divided into different parts. The brainstem consists of 3 parts: the medulla oblongata, the pons, and the midbrain. The cerebellum is smaller than the cerebrum, but has almost as many nerve cells as the cerebrum. Cerebellum, the cerebrum has a left and a right hemisphere. Both hemispheres are divided into areas. The central sulcus, which appears red here, separates the frontal lobe from the parietal lobe. There is also a temporal lobe and an occipital lobe. The insular cortex can be found under the frontal, parietal, and temporal lobes. Let us first familiarize ourselves with the outer structures of the brain. As the brain is very fragile, it is well protected by the hard skull, which consists of several bones. In addition, the brain and spinal cord are surrounded by 3 meninges. The first meninx is attached directly to the brain and is called pia mater. Blood vessels between the pia mater and the arachnoid mater supply the brain. The dura mater is very robust and forms the outermost of the 3 meninges. The cerebrospinal fluid, which contains more than just immune cells, can be found between the pia mater and the arachnoid mater. This cerebrospinal fluid also serves as a cushion, protecting the brain in the event of rapid movement of the skull or a blow to the head. Around 500 milliliters of cerebrospinal fluid is produced by cells in the brain per day. The cerebrospinal fluid circulates not only in the subarachnoid space, but also in cavities known as ventricles. Ventricles are commonly divided into lateral ventricles and the third and the fourth ventricles. The brain consists of nerve fibers, which can be recognized as white matter, and nerve cell bodies, which are referred to as gray matter. In principle, all nerve cells have a similar structure. Nerve cells have a cell body in which there is a cell nucleus. Nerve cells often form dendrites, which possess spines. In addition, an axon is formed, with the help of which the nerve cell can transmit an electrical signal to another cell. The two nerve cells use a synapse to transmit an electrical signal. A synapse consists of a presynaptic part, a postsynaptic part, and a small gap between the two. Although the general structure is always the same, there are numerous forms that nerve cells can take. Nerve cells are usually divided into the types shown here. In addition, many axons in the human body are surrounded by myelin, which is formed within the brain by oligodendrocytes. This allows an impulse to be transmitted even faster. The cerebral cortex consists mainly of 6 layers. For the sake of clarity, only a few cells and nerve fibers are shown here. Under certain conditions, these nerve cells can die. In this case, we are talking about diseases such as Alzheimer's. A progressive breakdown of the nerve cells causes the brain to shrink, and the folding changes. Some of the most common symptoms are forgetfulness, orientation problems, and difficulties in learning new.
See, here he is talking about Alzheimer's disease, and he is also telling what are the symptoms of that is forgetfulness. These are all we are going to cover in our therapeutic session. Next, we are going to say how we are going to treat this with the help of our Douglas therapy. And we have already, what are the mixtures, what are the remedies, we are all, we will study it later. You see, listen carefully that, what causes what? What are the structural change cause, what are the problems? So you were telling about the Alzheimer's disease.
Information. Certain nerve cells or areas of the brain perform different functions. The prefrontal cortex contains nerve cells that are said to be responsible for our personality, problem solving, and self-control, among others.
See, this is also, every part of the body has its own function. Means they act, and the one part of the brain controls the other part of the body. So when paralysis is again is a reason for paralysis is maybe a lack of blood supply to that particular region. Maybe where it is supposed to reach, that is not reaching, and that even the blood vessel is getting ruptured and not able to supply correct amount of the blood. Again, what is the function of we'll see in the circulatory system, but still the circulatory system's main job is to supply nutrition and the oxygen to the each and every part of the body. Here some brain cells, if we are not supplied with the adequate the sufficient amount of oxygen and nutrition, it lacks in its function. So see, that particular area goes numb, and that is not obey our order. So we will see all the different function of a brain. If that particular area is not working, that means we can assume that this area is having there. You can 100% visualize. You will be able to see in MRI and other thing where there is a, in case of brain stroke, what is a fault there. If there is any high, due to maybe high blood pressure, that area, that capillaries, or you can say that rupture, and that blood will not be supplied to that particular region for functioning those activities.
Other things. Broca's area, which makes spoken and written language.
See why this is all required. Even though I tell you this for the spiritual healers, or you can say drugless therapists, why all this thing is required? See, when we are infusing the thought in the water, when we are setting that particular knob, when we are inserting the particular card pertaining to this particular region, we have to fully imagine what is happening there. Means that is how you can transfer the thought, positive thought into the water, and then that positive thought will work like a remedy. So you can also imagine, tell them to imagine, see, that is where all getting cleared up, and we have very good circulation and all. Here, there are so many organizations basically working on psychic surgery only. Recently I came across in Ahmedabad. So, thought and intention and the concentration of intention, that's all very important. So, here just why you have to listen this one, you can, because I am giving you the recorded version also, you can see as many times as possible, or whenever you get that particular patient saying that I have this particular problem, you can go through what are the activity involved in this, and then you can point out and you can treat that particular area based on your Douglas therapy, or you can say already we have our numerical materia medica contains everything. So you have to see what function it is doing. If that function is lagging, we have to make that organ perfect. You all know that organ remedies are given in, because in numerical materia medica, no potency is written, you have to give in CM potency.
Possible is often located on the left side. Another important area in the frontal lobe is the motor cortex, which cooperates with the cerebellum so that we can carry out voluntary movements. With the help of the directly adjacent somatosensory cortex, which processes information from receptors on the skin, for example, we are able to generate complex movement sequences. It is important to note that the left side of the brain receives signals from the right side of the body, and the right side of the brain receives signals from the left side of the body. Inside the brain, there are also clusters of nerve cell bodies that perform very specific tasks. The thalamus is an extremely important area, which is also known as the gateway to consciousness and is part of the diencephalon. All sensory perceptions, with the exception of the sense of smell, are processed and filtered by the thalamus before they reach the cerebral cortex. For this reason, we only perceive a few of the numerous sensory stimuli. Here are just some of the many nerve fibers that send signals from our body to the thalamus, which processes them and, if necessary, transmits them to the neocortex. The brain has nerve fibers that run from one side to the other, so that both hemispheres of the brain can communicate with each other. The entirety of these nerve fibers is called corpus callosum. The thumb-sized corpus callosum is used for the exchange of information and coordination between the two hemispheres of the brain. so the left hand literally knows what the right hand is doing. Let's take a look at some other areas of the brain that are responsible for very specific tasks. One very important area is the hypothalamus, which is probably the most important control center of the autonomic nervous system. The correct setting of temperature and blood pressure is the task of this brain region. The hypothalamus also controls our thirst and hunger. The limbic system lies deep in the cerebrum and consists of the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the fornix, with the mammillary bodies at the front end. The hippocampus is responsible for memory formation. If the hippocampus is removed or destroyed, people are unable to store new memories. The amygdala is used in particular to store information about dangers.
See, here what we can see is, we'll go once again.
If the hippocampus is removed or destroyed,
Hippocampus is generally we see this type of complaint. So that time we have to use a remedy for this. Hippocampus, what they say, they have only previous memories. They have only the old age memories, but recent origin they are not able to recollect. In such cases, we can target this. So you can at least think of healing this, and you can send a healing energy to this, so that the next coming memories will be stored easily.
People are unable to store new memories. The amygdala is used in particular to store information about dangers. The human cerebellum is smaller than the cerebrum, but has a significantly higher cell density. Like the cerebrum, the cerebellum possesses white and gray matter. The most important nerve cells in the cerebellum are Purkinje cells, which can be regarded as the most complex neurons in the entire nervous system. With the help of its nerve cells, the cerebellum is able to transform planned movement patterns of the cerebrum into coordinated movement sequences. Without the cerebellum, harmonious movement such as walking would not be possible. Form planned movement patterns of the cerebrum into coordinated movement sequences. Without the cerebellum, harmonious movement such as walking would not be possible. Many other areas, such as the pituitary gland, which is part of the diencephalon, are just as important. The pituitary gland is responsible for our hormone regulation and thus for growth, reproduction, and metabolism. In addition to the pituitary gland in the front of the brain, there is the pineal gland, which is also known as the epiphysis cerebri. The pineal gland secretes a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is produced in the dark and thus influences our sleep-wake cycle.
Has your brain ever wondered what the parts of the brain are and what are their functions? Well, that's basically what we're going to talk about in this video. So what you're looking at is a section of your brain. And to make sense of this, let's say you could see someone's brain from the top, and you would be able to see the two hemispheres like this. Don't worry, this is not a brain, this is just a walnut. It looks very similar to the brain. But let's say these are two hemispheres. Now, imagine you cut this walnut. Then you look at the inside side of this one, then you will see something like this, right? The inner side of one of the halves. Well, that's basically what we're looking at. It's the inner side of one of the hemispheres, okay? So let's get rid of that and look at the different parts. We can broadly divide our brain into three parts. The forebrain, which is this big yellow section. The midbrain, which is this tiny pink section, and the hindbrain or the lower brain, which is this blue section. Usually when we say humans have big brain, you're basically talking about this forebrain section. Okay, and then the midbrain is actually the beginning part of the brain stem. Brain stem is on top of which the forebrain sits. The brain stem connects the forebrain to the spinal cord. This continues as the spinal cord. So the beginning section of that brain stem is what we call as the midbrain. And then the later section of the brain stem is a part of the hindbrain. Right? This is the hindbrain. And the hindbrain also consists of this section. Now this itself looks like a mini brain all by itself. But that and the remaining portion of that brain stem is basically what we call the hindbrain. Okay, so what are the functions of them? Before we get into the details, to get a broad sense of what these parts do, we can think that the forebrain is responsible for all the voluntary functions, and the midbrain and the hindbrain together are responsible for all the involuntary functions. So when I say voluntary, think about all the actions that you carry out consciously by thinking about them, like take a walk, or maybe talk to someone, or decide to watch this video about brains. So all of that, of course, we'll talk more details about that in a second. And when I say involuntary functions, there are some functions that are happening in your body which are not in control, which you're not in control of. For example, your heart beating, or maybe your digestion. You're not in control of those, right? So those are mostly taken care by your midbrain and the hindbrain. So how do we remember which part does which? Well, the way I like to think about it is I remember that what makes humans special is their big brain, big forebrain. And I remember that we have this amazing intellectual ability, right? Our intelligence. So forebrain gives us our intelligence. So it's because of that I can do all my thinking and all my decisions, and also I can walk and talk because of this. So that's how I basically remember forebrain controls voluntary actions. With this in mind, let's look at the functions and the parts in a little bit more detail. So let's zoom out a little bit. And I've made some space so that we can write more parts. So let's start with the forebrain. If you look at the forebrain, you can again kind of see the outer section, which contains a lot of folds, and the inner section. Let me shade that inner section a little bit darker so we can identify that. So the outer section, right, this big giant outer section, it's called the cerebrum. The cerebrum. This whole outer section, which I have colored with light yellow, is the cerebrum. And we're not going to look at further parts of that, okay? So that's the outer section for us. If you look at the inner section, we're going to look at three parts of the inner section. Okay? One part, which is over here. So let me put this. Then one part, which is a little below that. I'm going to write over here somewhere. Here. And this small thing that you can see, that one. These are three parts that we need to remember, at least for our syllabus, okay? So this one, you know what we call that? That is called the thalamus. Use this color, okay? It's called the thalamus. And these are all Greek names, okay? So it will not make sense to us. But I looked up, thalamus kind of means an inner portion or inner region. That's basically what this is, right? It's the inner region of our forebrain. So the part that comes below that is called hypothalamus. So the next part is hypothalamus. And hypo kind of means lower, so it's the lower part of the thalamus, hypothalamus. And the part which we'll be interested in, this one, the small thing that you can see over here, that is called the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. And this part over here. Okay, so these are the four parts of our forebrain. So these are the only parts that we'll concentrate.
See, here we are talking about the cerebellum, hypothalamus, thalamus, motor nerves, and the cerebral artery and pituitary. All this is covered under the OM20. Organ medicine 20, its name is paralysis flaccid. But see, generally what we used to do earlier, there are two types of paralysis. One is flaccid and spastic. So flaccid is very loose. There are two types of things. In paralysis, it will become loose, and it will go all over. And another thing is stiffness. It will create a stiffness. That is spastic. So here in this flaccid, these all parts are covered. So you can refer that page number 137 of our SOAM series of Natural Meaning Volume 3. In that work, all these brain functions, means brain parts, are covered in the OM20. So no need of only prescribing only in the paralysis, and also when if you think you are seeing what are the function of these parts. In case of these parts, if think that it should be addressed, that time we can use a OM20. And OM21 also has many parts of the brain. That is, OM21 is upper motor neuron, cerebral cortex, myelin sheath, and medulla. So myelin sheath here it is covering as a covering, so that when if you think that even sclerosis also that myelin sheath. OM21. OM21 as a paralysis spastic, you can see cerebral cortex, myelin sheath, and medulla. All these are the parts of OM21. So, see, we have to keep on going through this video. You should recollect that, yes, where we can find these parts with our remedy. Mainly that volume 3, we have to see from where we can take this and use for our to enable this function.
So let me just put them together. So this is alright. So what do? What are their functions? We don't have to look at the individual functions. We don't have to do that. But the forebrain as a whole, what does it do? Well, one of the things, like we already said, voluntary functions. But again, let's dig a little deeper. What does it do? One of the things that you can think of is thinking. Right? And when I say thinking, I'm including a lot of things over here because there's not much space. Thinking, your learning ability, your speech, language, all of that comes from your forebrain. But what else? To think about what else your forebrain can do, take a look at this picture. The reason you're able to see this is because of your forebrain. You may be wondering, wait, it's my eyes, right? It's eyes. But the eyes send the signal to the brain, and it's your forebrain that does the processing. And that's why you can see it. Similarly, you can hear me right now because of your forebrain. All the 5 senses, you can sense them because of your forebrain. And so, one important function of your forebrain is sensing. Let me just write that as sensing. Okay. What else? Well, you identified this picture, right? It's a puppy. Did you confuse it with something like maybe a donkey or tiger? No. The reason you can even remember it's a puppy is because of your memory. Because you know what puppies look like and you can associate with it. So that also comes from your forebrain. Memory, learning, all of that comes from your forebrain. And when you look at this puppy, some kind of emotion came in, right? Like you may have felt, oh, what a cute puppy. You may have felt happy looking at it. Maybe if I showed you some different picture, if I showed you some scary picture, you would experience fear, right? So all the emotions, they too come from your forebrain. All your emotions, including love. That's right, love does not come from the heart, it comes from your forebrain. In fact, fun story, the other day my wife asked me, hey, how much do you love me? I said, I love you with all my forebrain. Yeah, she hasn't spoken to me since, but it was worth it. Besides these, there are also other things that the forebrain does. Some of the feelings that you get, like for example, the feeling of hunger, the feeling of being sleepy, thirst, or maybe, after you have finished a meal, the feeling of fullness. All of that also comes from your forebrain. Actually, that comes from this part of the forebrain, but we don't have to remember all those things. So these are some of the functions of your forebrain.
Now you saw that what are the functions of this forebrain, but in our volume 3, it is covered under the paralysis. It is that OM 21 and 20 and 21. They are covering all the part of this brain, and see, here it's very easy. Whatever it is explained here is covered in the OM 21's usages. And paralysis in speech, slow, monotonous, uncoordination movement, swaying while walking. So we have just saw that what are the parts of the brain working on that. So there is a lack of muscle tone. He wants to move. He makes it move, but limb will not obey. Movement is there, very poor memory, mentally deficient, stroke and aging. You see, I never used till today because teaching is the best way of learning. Okay, so here I saw that OM 20, it covers mentally deficient people also, very poor memory and stroke and aging. This covers that also. So hereafter we can use for lack of memory or poor memory, you can use OM 20. So which covers most of our brain parts. So once brain is healthy, parts are healthy, all functions will be healthy. We'll move again.
Sir, even for I think weight loss, if somebody is going, so the sensation of getting full or that thing will also help here, because
Yes.
ultimately, matlab, we can connect that also, na, because you will have that sensation, so you will eat less, so it will help you if you are on that kind of diet or something like that.
Yeah, well said, madam. So here, see, this part even controls the hunger and fullness. If it is diseased, what will people keep on eating, and it will produce into fat, because they will not get satisfied easily by taking food. Your point is correct. Here you can see hunger, sleepiness, and fullness also. You said my stomach is full. That also will be known to us by this forebrain. So yeah, you can say that organ medicine number 20 will cover all this. So you can be given for varieties of things. So you can just going, so again and again you go through this video and see what are the functions of it, and even you want to take education or learning is a no bar in anywhere. You can learn, you can have a wonderful PDF for this. You can go in the depth of each and individual part, and you can then imagine and you can treat that part. And here all this separately, what they are telling, this all combined is coming in the OM 20. Okay, we can treat it individually also by going through our numerical materia medica. And see emotions also. It is covering, means one of the, if someone is under depression, or you can say stress depression also can be tackled by these by giving OM 20. OM 20 because all the major part of the forebrain are there in the OM 20.
We're not going to look at the parts of the midbrain. It's a tiny section. We'll not look at its parts. So let's jump directly to the hindbrain. If you look at this brain stem over here, the bluer section, you can actually see two distinct regions over there. So one region, one lump over here, and one more here, right? So this one, use a different color. So this one over here, it's called pons. That's the name given to it. Pons. Again, I know, little weird name. It's Latin. Again, it means bridge. It's kind of like bridging between the middle brain and this bottom part. That brings us to this bottom part, which is pretty important for us. The bottom one is called here. It's called medulla oblongata. Okay, we're gonna look at its functions separately, and then you can look at this big region. Let's make it dark so we can see that. So this region, which kind of looks like a brain on its own, is called cerebellum. Do not confuse that with cerebrum. Cerebrum is the biggest part of our brain. Cerebellum, that's the name given to this. So these three regions are going to be the part of our hindbrain. These are hindbrain. And since we're not going to look at the parts of the midbrain, this is it. This is all the parts that we need to remember. So again, what are the functions of the hindbrain? We already saw it's involuntary, but let's look at the individual one. Let's look at medulla oblongata and the cerebellum. These two are important for us. So what does the medulla oblongata do? Well, again, it controls most of the life-giving involuntary processes. Okay, so we'll say life-giving involuntary processes. I'll just write invol, okay? Involuntary processes. That means these are the most essential for life, like your heart beating, your breathing, digestion, all of those essential things are taken care of by your medulla oblongata. Along with that, it also controls some of your reflexes. Now, if you've studied about reflexes before, you may be wondering, hey, isn't that controlled by your spinal cord? Yes, some of them are controlled by the spinal cord, but some of the reflexes, like your sneezing, coughing, those are controlled by your medulla oblongata. All right. The idea is the reflexes are not controlled by your thinking part of the brain. None of the reflexes are controlled by the forebrain. That's why they're even called reflexes. But the medulla does control some of your reflexes. So these are the two major functions of the medulla. Okay. What about the cerebellum? It's getting a little crowded. I hope you can see them apart. So again, I'm going to put some division over here. Anyways, so what is cerebellum? Well, cerebellum also has some involuntary functions, but it's a little different. One of its function is to maintain balance. Balance. Now, what I mean by this is, if you want to do even the simplest of the simplest tasks, like walking or maybe holding a cup, these things requires careful calculation, coordination. You have to think about where the gravity is and all of those stuff. Right? If you try to build a robot, it's then you actually see how complicated those things are. But we do it with ease. That's because of our cerebellum. Because it.
See, now what we saw about hindbrain, behind brain. So this one is covered under again OM21. OM21, we got a upper motor neuron, cerebral cortex, and myelin sheath and medulla also. Medulla here it is covered in the OM21. So OM21 and OM22 covers the complete brain. So, and one more thing is there, that is the Viksha number OM33. OM33 covers the cerebral cortex, thalamus, cerebellum, and the spinal cord and midbrain. And so you can say that 20, 21 and 23 makes a perfect combination for any disorders around the brain. So we can go through, because we have to, what part, what is its function, we have just saw that this is covered under the OM20, OM21 and OM33.
Is the one that maintains balance. And along with that, another major function is motor memory. Motor memory. What's that? Well, think of riding a bicycle. But the first time when you were trying to learn the bicycle, you were using a lot of your forebrain. You were learning. You were learning to get balance. You were learning how the pedal works. You were learning maybe how to do the tring and everything. All those things you're learning. But once you learn that, once you've done enough practice, now when you want to ride your bicycle, you don't even think about it. We say it has become our second nature, right? All things happen automatically. Now it's the cerebellum. That's what we call as motor memory. Another example could be, let's say when you're typing on a keyboard, if you have enough practice, you don't have to look down anymore. You don't have to worry about which keys are where. It just automatically happens. Motor memory. So all those things are controlled by the cerebellum. You know how I can remember this? I remember this by remembering that, when people drink alcohol, it's their cerebellum that gets affected. Think about it. If your cerebellum gets affected, your balance gets affected. That's why people who are intoxicated, they can't balance themselves. They will be walking funny and everything. They may no longer be in a position to ride a bicycle. It's actually one of the reasons why we say don't drink and drive, because your motor memory gets affected. So even the most basic things that usually we think it's easy for us to do, like while driving, that gets affected. All right, so that's how I remember the functions of the cerebellum. All right, so finally you may be wondering, what about the midbrain?
This is a fantastic thing what we heard here. So if in this way we could explain to the alcoholics who then after taking alcohol they try to ride the bike and car and all, so we can give them a very good reason. It is not that it is effects without any doing partiality, that motor memory will be lost, because it works on it affects the cerebellum. So we can, if we explain in this way, at least we can say that drink and drive problem could be solved in everywhere. So everyone, nowadays everyone wants the scientific explanation. Why? If you tell me why, I can sacrifice that. So very good reason. So you can spread this system, and if we also consume sometime alcohol, we should be avoided and we should be away from it. So I'd at least make a party and sleep at your home, not to go away, because you are, as per that, you are going to lose the cerebellum balance, and you are going to motor memory, you are going to lose the motor memory and balance. So it's a good reason to follow rules.
Right? We now look at the parts of the midbrain. Midbrain also controls some of the involuntary functions. For example, when you shine light in your eyes, your pupils become smaller. That is controlled by your midbrain. So the midbrain also controls some of your involuntary functions, but we're not going to look at that. This is pretty much it for us. Now, since the screen itself contains the entire summary, why don't you try pausing the video and then revise, and then see if you can recall all the parts and the functions without looking. Has your brain ever wondered what? Hey, have you heard about this thing called the nervous system? Actually goes from there all the way up to your brain. And then your brain processes it. It understands where the electricity came from which nerve it came, and it realizes, my left, every single thing that you're sensing right now, and every single thing that you can do with your body and your eyes, and that gets converted to one of the important jobs of your nervous system. It allows, of course, you are Spider-Man, in which case you will have a sixth sense too, but I'm not sure how that would work. Okay, so this nervous system is pretty cool, right? But you may be wondering, but what exactly is it made of? Is it really wires? Do I have copper wires in my body? No, of course these are not wires. Then what are they? Well, just like anything in our body, they are made of cells. Okay? So if you were to zoom in to one of these nerves, then you'll find they're actually cells arranged end to end. And if you're wondering, hey, that's not what a cell looks like, I hear you, because these are highly modified cells. I mean, they also have a nucleus and everything, but they don't look like regular cells. I totally agree with you. These are called neurons, very specialized cells, and they are the ones that conduct electricity. But of course, I won't talk too much about these neurons, mainly because we have another video completely dedicated to talk about their awesomeness. Okay, so let's not worry about the neurons and the cells as of now. Let's think of them as wires as of now. Okay, then another question we might be having is, how many parts does this nervous system have? It looks super complicated, super branched out and everything. So how many parts does it have? Well, it turns out that broadly we can divide this nervous system into two parts. So let me zoom out a little bit so that we can see better. All right. So the nervous system can be broadly classified into two parts. Let me just write that down over here. One is called the central nervous system. I'm just going to write central over here. Central nervous system. The short form for that is CNS, central nervous system. And the second one is called the peripheral nervous system. S involves the brain, which is the command center, and your spinal cord. That's your central nervous system contains two parts. Spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system is everything else besides the central nervous system. Okay, so you can see all these branches. These branches that you can see, they are the peripheral nervous system. We call our cord. Again, the name pretty much helps us understand what is what. Cranial comes from the word cranium, which is the part of the skull where the brain sits. So let me show you the brain again. Yeah, where the brain sits. And therefore cranial nerves refers to the nerves that comes from the brain. Spinal nerves refers to the nerve that comes from the spinal cord. Let me just put a bubble around. And these are broadly the two parts of our nervous system. So here's a question. What do you think are the functions of these two things? We've already taken some examples and we've seen how the nervous system kind of works. So can you pause the video and guess what the central nervous system does and what the peripheral nervous system does? Okay, so your central nervous system, what do you think it does? Well, since it has the brain in it, if you guess that its main job is to process information, you're absolutely right. Its main job is to process information, collect all that information, think about what to do, decide, come up with a decision, all of that stuff. That is your central nervous system. Then what do you think your peripheral nervous system does? Well, we saw in our examples. The peripheral nervous system, their job is to send the information from the brain to the muscles, or maybe to send the information from your senses to your brain, or sometimes send the information from your internal organs. Let's say something gets injured, then that information also has to be sent to the brain, right? So all the communication between the central nervous system and the other parts of your body, the other organs and muscles, that happens via the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so peripheral nervous system, you can I would just say crudely, it allows the different parts of your body, to talk to the CNS. Okay, so through the peripheral nervous system, all the parts, your muscles and your organs, communicate with your central nervous system. So that's pretty much it. So just to summarize, our nervous system can be thought of as a wiring system that allows our brain to communicate with the rest of our body. It uses electricity to do that. And we saw that there are two parts to it. The central nervous system, which composes of the brain and the spinal cord, its main job is to process information. And the peripheral nervous system, all the other parts of the nervous system except the central nervous system is called the peripheral nervous system. It's divided into cranial nerves, the ones that branch out from the brain.
Yes. Now that you are talking about a cranial nerve. So we have that is coming out of the brain. Nerves coming out of the brain, and in our card system, we are using, one is a card and another is a dial system. In the card system, we have card number from the card number 458 from 458 starts about the brain. And it was already thought by Swami Narayani and Swami Anand to address these particular parts of the brain, we should give some rates, or you can say cards. So you can say card number 458 is a brain hole, and 459 is a brain Broca's area, and another, and 460 is a brain cerebellum, we just saw it, and brain medulla is an 461, and 462 is a brain pons, and 463 is a total cranial nerves, card for a total cranial nerve, and again olfactory and optic nerve and oculomotor nerves and trochlear nerve and trigeminal nerves and abductor nerves and facial, auditory. These are all covering from the vagus nerve, accessory and hypoglossal nerve, that is CN12. Like that, it is covered from the 459 and 458 to 475. So these are all concerned about what all the brain parts and functions we studied. That is covered under this card system. And we'll be giving you the conversion also, like on Excel sheet. All the cards are converted into the base 336 radionic rate. That time we can be easily, because we have, if you are using a dial machine, we are accessible to 14,000 rate. Every part is mentioned in that with a in the numerical Mathematica, and we can go and we can use those things. And we will see, there is one more video on the peripheral nerves. We will see that. We have already studied the reflex action.
In this video, I want to introduce some peripheral neurological disorders. Peripheral, meaning they're affecting the peripheral nervous.
Because these are most common nowadays. Why it is affecting peripheral nerves, not able to having sense or burning feet, and not able to sense the is anything pierced inside your soul. So it is, that is what is covered under peripheral disorders.
System, neurological disorders. And when we're talking about neurological disorders affecting the peripheral nervous system, we're mostly talking about things that affect the nerves. But we also usually throw in the diffuse disorders of skeletal muscle. And here, sometimes we refer to that as neuromuscular disorders instead, to be a little bit more accurate, that we're talking about both nerves and skeletal muscle. And there are many disorders that can cause either focal or diffuse dysfunction of the peripheral nervous system or skeletal muscle. Now, with abnormalities of skeletal muscle, we may see the motor abnormality of weakness. And with abnormalities of nerves, we may also see motor abnormalities, including weakness. But with abnormalities of nerves, we may also see sensory abnormalities and or autonomic abnormalities. Autonomic. Because nerves contain bundles of axons carrying motor information, sensory information, or autonomic information between the central nervous system and the periphery. The symptom of pain, in particular, is a common sensory abnormality that can occur with the peripheral neurological disorders. The somatosensory axons, those carrying sensory information from the body, including the sense of pain, that's a common sensory abnormality that may occur with lesions of somatosensory axons in nerves. Now, if we start thinking about the peripheral neurological disorders, first in terms of the ones that cause focal lesions or focal areas of abnormality, abnormalities in the peripheral nervous system. These usually cause motor or somatosensory abnormalities of one arm or one leg. Certain parts of certain nerves are most often affected, usually by the mechanical pathology of compression by surrounding structures, such as parts of the wrist or parts of the spine. Although we can also sometimes see compression from external objects at areas where nerves are vulnerable, like at the funny bone of the elbow. Focal dysfunction of one nerve out in the periphery is called a mononeuropathy. Mono for one, neuropathy for dysfunction of a nerve. Mononeuropathy. Whereas we have a different name for focal dysfunction of one spinal nerve close to where they're attached to the spinal cord.
See, here we have understood till today, till this time is motor and sensory system. If you have, you are not able to lift anything and there are some disorders, we can correlate with this and see what are the reason what you said, because of concussion, or you can say because of our pressing of our that spine in the spine presses that particular nerve. You already, I will show you, I will share that that total diagram, because our whole body, the vertebrae are divided into different nerve functions. Different nerves are going through that each vertebra and does the different function. So based on that also we can see where is the problem, where we can that we can address, will come to know. So here, so motor and sensory nerves are affected by the compression of that particular nerve. So we have to think about those areas, means like that vertebrae where it is affecting. We can treat on that also. Like we studied in the skeletal system, what are we used as a lumbar region, OM18, 31 to 34, and OM4 for a cervical region. There, suppose we are getting the not decentralized thing, having no sensitivity in the fingers. Then what you can think about? Think about this vertebra also along with that, with the nerve. So it might be in a compression. There is some physiotherapy, little exercise for the spondylosis. That can be also used in addition to your remedies like OM4, OM18 to 18 and 31 to 34. We have to give along, because nerves are compressed in the spinal system. So ultimately we have to cover, we have to link everything to the human body. We can't think separately like, this is a nervous system, okay, go to neurologist. This is a skeletal system, go to orthopedic. So like that we can't say. All are connected. We have to study in all together, try to take the meaning and try to address those things.
Word. We call that radiculopathy. Radiculopathy. And both mononeuropathy, where a single nerve has a focal abnormality out in the periphery, and radiculopathy, where a single spinal nerve has an abnormality. These are both very common neurological syndromes. Now, in addition to focal lesions occurring from peripheral neurological disorders, we can also have diffuse lesions. Just write that over here. Diffuse lesions or diffuse abnormalities of the peripheral nervous system. Diffuse dysfunction of the nerves, kind of all of the nerves being sick, we call polyneuropathy. Poly for many, and neuropathy for an abnormality of nerves. Polyneuropathy. And with polyneuropathy, we usually have widespread motor, sensory, and autonomic abnormalities on both sides of the body. And most types of polyneuropathy have an additional pattern to them, where the longest nerves are often the most affected, where they're farthest away from the central nervous system. So for polyneuropathy, the most common syndrome we see are motor, sensory, or autonomic abnormalities starting in the toes. And then as things get more severe, it actually kind of crawls its way up the legs. And when it gets to about the knees, the hands often start to get involved as well. And so all the nerves are affected by these processes, but the longest nerves in particular, with many of them, are often affected the worst and the earliest. And we get a very different pattern with diffuse dysfunction of skeletal muscle, which we call myopathy. This word myo refers to muscle. So a myopathy is diffuse dysfunction of skeletal muscle. And when skeletal muscle is affected, we don't see autonomic or sensory abnormalities, but we do see the motor abnormality of weakness, because if skeletal muscle is not functioning properly, you don't have full strength. And most types of myopathy give us a very different pattern than the polyneuropathy pattern. Let me just erase all of this because it looks very different with most myopathies. Instead of seeing abnormalities farthest away from the central nervous system, what we often see is weakness around the shoulders on both sides and the hips on both sides, and often kind of the big muscle groups of the going into the legs and the arms, close to the shoulders and the hips as well. As a myopathy becomes more severe, it may start to involve all the muscle groups, including farther away down the legs and the arms and the torso and the head and neck. But early on, many types of myopathy give us this particular kind of pattern that we don't see with lots of other neurological disorders. Many types of pathology commonly cause polyneuropathy or myopathy, including certain genetic disorders, idiopathic disorders, autoimmune disorders, metabolic disorders, nutritional and toxic disorders. So there's a lot of different disorders that can cause these patterns, these syndromes, in the bigger category of peripheral neurological disorders.
We saw that when we are treating as a whole, when we are studying about the nervous system, again we are going back to the spinal cord and the muscular system. So here everything is connected. One causes another. We think that it is a neurological disorder, whereas it will be a spinal and muscle disorder, muscular disorder. In that way, but when it is very beautifully explained to us by Swami Narayani and the healer group, that how we can cover up those disorders. See, now it is for us is very easy, but we'll study one by one why they have advised this group, and by this what we can achieve. So this is the, you know that our 18.1 is specialized specially for the nerve disorder. So we can see what is the number OM4, brain. Brain 2 is generally for retarded, mentally retarded child. For that, there we are using Beta-Carb on symptomatically. So I'll go through that and I will just revise why they have written it here. Mental that the breakdown means there is a, what is the details of that is so yin-yang balance, that is Chinese yin-yang balance, that energy balance, it is used here, and progesterone. And means here all the causes of nerve disorders are taken into 18.1 and it's made as a nerve tonic. So we'll just see all different type of disorder, neurological disorders, but everywhere this set of groups are taken as a standard. We add into everything. We'll see it. This is next ever. I'll just show you this. See, 18.2. Again, here we have to add 18.1. So means all the basics, whatever is required for 18.1 has to be combined with any of the neurological disorders. So now we are seeing that our NM5. You see, we go to the NM5, brain tissue salt. Brain tissue salt. This nerve, muscle, blood vessels in the brain. This is useful for nerves, muscles, blood vessels in the brain. It is remedy useful for a number of conditions. It is made up of tissue salt. Like yesterday, I explained about the tissue salt. Who found out this tissue remedies? Dr. Suzuler. How he found out? He did the chemical analysis of the ash of the burnt body. I mean, ash of the body. Or you can say, लाश को जलाने के बाद जो powder आता है, dead body. When dead body's ash is analyzed, he found out there are 12 major salts. So he thought imbalance of these salts will cause the problem or cause the disease. So, but since it is a separate therapy only, but because of all the titration and theory and everything is similar to homeopathy, so homeopathy people are taken that into their category, even though bat flower is separate from the homeopathy, and even homeopathy people, I mean pharmacists, they have taken even bat flower remedies also into their homeopathic medicine. They will print because some of the remedies are common in common. So they write one potency also. They write 30 potency, crab apple 30 potency. The bat flower remedies practitioners, they will go into confusion. What is this 30 potency? We never heard of it. But to cover up legally, to take into the domain of the homeopathy, they did just like that. So here that we don't means just that is how they even take the biochemistry into their homeopathy. That's what we are telling, because we understood now this chemical analysis of that, what a dead body ash, whatever it got around 12 tissues, and they have identified that these tissue remedies work on different function. They have different function. So these brain tissue salts are divided based on those concepts. So calcarea floor. Calcarea floor is, it gives elasticity to brain, without which brain would not have the capacity to think. Thinking capacity of the brain is derived from the calcarea floor, or you can say calcarea floor assists in getting the thinking capacity. See how we come to know about the biochemic action of the brain. Means biochemic medicine, how it affects our brain. And second thing is Kalimur. Kalimur is, it works on the muscles and nerves and brain cell. It is a basic salt found in the fibrin, which covers the brain. When the mind is blank, then Kalimur is lacking. So wonderful it is. See, someone get some, nowadays the common thing due to our lifestyle, the child get blank, or you can say we sometimes get blank and we don't know what to do. In such condition, the brain is lacking the salt Kalimur. So you don't need to go and search the Kalimur. Just prescribe mixture number 5. So it will cover all these things. And see, while giving that brain tissue salt, if you have this feeling that it is going to help in the capacity to think, it is going to help in the, mind blanking. It will help in a thinking pattern, thinking properly. So next one is Califos. Califos works on the nervous system. Nerve tonic we can call. So generally we prescribe 5-FOS. In that one, Califos is also there. Phosphorus is a main ingredient in our calcium and phosphorus in the skeletal system. So to support that, so we give the Califos. Califos works on the nerves, muscles, blood vessels in the brain, prevents the degeneration of cells. See how important it is. So Generally we can say that they are using 2-3 phos, that means Kali phos and Mag phos they are using. In the Kali phos, loss of memory and emotional disorders, brain fag, prevents a degeneration of cells. So Kali phos, how important it is. See, brain fag means you are not able to think, so mental brain tiredness and all, it covers that, and even mental and emotional disorders of the, because we have mental and emotional disorder, very broad spectrum. We can think that every sort of, because it is a nerve tonic, it helps in everything. And loss of memory, it helps in having the good memory also, and acts on the sympathetic nervous system, a great nerve and brain remedy, Kali phos. So while giving brain TS 200, if we know about this thing, it still works far better. So next remedies, I will take not everything, I will take few of things, so few of the mixtures, and it will indicate that why we are using in this brain, or you can say as a brain tonic. So we know that we have already seen that there are major nervous issues like emotional issues, and the not able to perform in the motor, or even in the sensory issues. So here we will see that calming pills are there. Calming pills, they work like a sedative. Those work like sedative in allopathy. What they give? The same sedative here without any side effect, and only the positive effect of that it is there. We have our own system called as a Coffea, Cruda, Avena sativa, Lupulus, Ignitia, Kali phos, Passiflora, Symbol, and Valerinia. So these are all some of the homeopathic remedies they have added. But here what, for all this preparing, we no need to go to anywhere, pharmacy and this one, we can with the Vibronics rate, Vibronic number, we can use this, and we get a, see, this is one of our most important remedies in the sleep remedy. I give at the later stage, we will give you the what are my formulas for this, because at least which already it is never failed. For example, sleep. For a sleep, this is one is the most important one. At the end of this session, I will tell you the sleep formula. For that, you can make and give that thing to the person. Within 10-15 days, he will start getting the good sleep, and later it is not even habit forming also. Later, if he stops this, also gets a good sleep. That's a beauty of Vibronics and this drugless therapy. And you will see, you have seen all Avena sativa, Coffea, and this one in this particular occasion, or you can say I wanted to tell you the principle of homeopathy. Because what is the principle of homeopathy? Like yours, like. So since I come across the coffee here, because that is my favorite subject, not a coffee, but the action of coffee. Okay, so I took the small classes in my Indus Towers explaining about when the homeopathy, that was during the training the trainers, like that instant it is still there in my YouTube. There I used the coffee. With the action of coffee, we will be able to link how this homeopathy works. See, when you get, when you are in studies, you want to study for a longer period, you are getting sleep, that time what you do? Have a strong cup of tea. If you take a strong cup of tea, then what happens? your all sensory nerves become strong. Means it will activate. It will so that you will feel awake. No, you still can awake for a longer period. But if the same coffee is given in the most diluted form, most diluted, because of that most diluted only, homeopathy is still evidence based. It is not scientifically proved as a medicinal system. It is only based on evidence based. People are getting better because of what effect? No one knows. So it's so diluted. So then what happens is the primary action of the drug of the coffee is getting awake, making our all senses very, very awake. But in other way, when the secondary action of that coffee will be like a sedative, giving relaxation, getting all your senses go down so that you feel calmness. That is a theory of homeopathy. The homeopathy theory is like cure likes. So when you want to sleep, but you are fully awake, your all senses are very strong, then what you do? It is resembling the coffee. After drinking coffee, what you are supposed to have, that you are getting, that sensation you are getting now without drinking coffee. So what will give? Same coffee in a most diluted form, you will get sleep. You are all with most and I already told you, they are so dilute. Dilute is a dynamic. Again, for that reason, we can call homeopathy as a quantum medicine. Quantum medicine. There is no any substance at all. We assume that it works on the frequency. Because we divide it so small, from molecule to atom to frequency, like that it goes. So for that reason, in so many countries, when homeopathy can be practiced just like that. So because they don't consider all homeopathic medicines are available in the grocery shop. So in many countries it is like that. So this is what is a principle of homeopathy. What it creates, that it cures. For example, one more example I'll give you. The onion. Onion, when you are cutting the onion, what happens is you get tears and smell, you can get nosy, and suddenly you go and your husband comes and knocks, or anyone knocks the door, you suddenly go to the door and open. By looking at your face, red eyes and nosy things, and even tears in your eyes, what the person in the other side, they ask you, do you have cold? Because they are afraid it may get most infectious is a cold. So viral cold it may be. So they ask, are you having cold? They say, no. I was just cutting the onion. So it is our mixture number 10. Yeah, mixture number 11. In mixture number 11, you see, because I just want to give the example of that. So alum cepa, eye burning, smarting, watery nose, sneezing, fluent watery discharge. So as when peeling onion, it's very clearly mentioned here. That means this is law of similar. If onion creates the watery eyes and the watery nose and sneezing, that means it cures that. It cures that condition. So that is what is. I just wanted to on this reference. So we will study whatever the good in homeopathic system. We will try to take it, and so we'll take in because all those literature and everything we follow that only, but only pharmacy part is changed. We don't depend on any pharmacy. We create the remedies through the intention or the healing codes, or we have the healing cards. Okay, now let us see biochemic combination 12. Biochemic combination 12 has got all 12 tissues. So it will, once whole body, what all whole body is made up of, those tissues you are supplementing, so it will help the nervous system also. Like a shock. So shock 20, that is mixture number 25. Don't get afraid, I'm not going to tell all those things, but you should be able to see whatever the way I am doing it. So in your free time, you just go through why it is done like that. See, I'll tell about only few mixtures, then you will be able to do the same thing at your own time. Shock. Shock is also one sort of a neurological, sudden, if you get afraid, suddenly you pass the urine. Okay, so emotion is connected to some of our bodily actions. So here, shock in any condition resulting from fear. Shock can be fast, slow killer, and a slow killer. Can be terrible effect on the mind and body. So any shock, we ask anybody, so when did this particular problem started? And generally say that this particular instant, or again we had that accident, or you can say someone in my very close friend, he died and that was a very shock to me. You will find these types of stories. So it affects the nervous system and emotion. We saw that emotions are generated by the nervous system only. So like that, is it a death of someone or car accident? It is written emotion shock. It is there in the book. Go through, please go through. I told you that volume 3 is a fantastic thing. So what are there? What are the remedies? Remedies are arnica, ignitia, and opium and passiflora. And like this, so you see these are all the shock, different type of shocks. So ignitia is one of the most wonderful remedy for the psychological shock. Someone, loss of some friend, loss of some near and dears. So at that time you can use ignitia as the emotional support. So in most of our like remedies, depression, balance, and anxiety, stress, we all use this. We'll come to know. We will come at the and what all, just read one by one. We'll come to know why they have added into this 18.1. Okay, so emotional shock we have covered, and backup. Number 63, backup. Why they are adding into the nervous system? Because why nerves get affected, why nerves get diseased. Why it is diseased? Because lack of nutrition. If you don't eat all the nutrition, like a B12, generally they prescribe for a nerve disorder. Okay, so like that, we can think why backup 63. You see that 63, why they have added it here? Fantastic thing. See, anemia balance in backup 63. What are the ingredients and why it is used? Where it is used? That blood, immune system, gland, and the bone. It covers all this. And what are the ingredient of that? Anemia balance, blood sugar balance, like a glandular mix, osteomycelium, and virus and bacteria translate, and immunity mixture. So you see, any viral disease and any viral influenza or anything like that, you go through all these mixtures. Wherever they are writing the virus and bacteria translase card for virus and bacteria, you must add it for the viral infection. Okay, so how you can cover up those things in our energy remedy. How we can cover up? So 63 or and now 69. 69 basically, yeah, emotional and nervous complaints it covers 69. So here I will call this as a very fantastic nervous and emotional tonic. And we see if when you go through the usages, we also clearly write take along with calming and shock pills. So what is that? CB8. CB8 for the nerve and emotional thing, emotional complaints. So likewise, you can now you come to know that that nutrition is also there. Let us see the mixture number 90. It covers all amino acids and potentized vitamins, and that all covered in the mixture number 90. And in NM 104, that covers our dementia. Okay, NM4 104, memory and brain. So what all they are used here? All the batch remedies for learning and the brain 2 and brain tissue salt. All mixed. It is a mixture again. So here they have covered everything in the terms. But some people will ask me, here already we have used the NM5 brain tissue salt. Then again, why we are adding the? Because only it will increase the number of remedy. Why we are adding here in the NM104 and the tops? Why we are adding? It's already there in the brain tissue salt. You see, they are different rates. Rate means there is a radionic rate is different, and the card whatever marking is different. So it is another energy. Okay, it is another energy. When we target a particular thing, if we cover from the different angle, so that time we will be able to tackle it is very successfully. So likewise, so I say I told given training to my own people in the different way. If you find your OM mixture number 24 is a rheumatoid arthritis, that also you take. Pain also, pain 59, mixture number 15 also you will take, and also use the in the Soham mixture also you can use. But people will ask me, Soham mixture already contains those mixture, then why we have to add? Because see here, remedies means intention. Remedies means focused intention. So here, so we are putting one after the other focused intention of the tissue remedy of the brain, and the brain and paralysis in the Soham. Like that, many different mixtures helping one particular things are mixed. So it will become, your thought will become more powerful. So it is just like you might have heard about the group healing in the Reiki. Group healing in the Reiki. So likewise, one person will be sitting in the center, many healers will be sit around and heal him for his particular issue. It will have a very great healing. In the similar way, if we are targeting the nerve condition, nerve tonic, and all these will be helping that nerve to become strong in that way. So I already discussed about the OM20 and OM21. So OM20 is all about all the brain parts. So, and the blood. See, that's very important. How we cover the particular disease is that BR means balanced remedies, blood. If blood is not supplying to the brain, what happens? It will result into blood disorder. So we have to cover this way. And paralysis balance, see, they have covered even SM1, that removal of entity. Today we all, so many people, as we are progressing in the spiritual level, the other way also we are progressing, means making someone ill effect to someone, that is also progressing. They are not happy with somebody's progress. They will make you a black magic. They will send you the negative energy. They will send you the negative thought. How to protect from that? Through the SM1 removal of entity. So just like removal of entity and divine protection, they are wonderful pairs. One just like you removing anything, then filling with a white light. You are filling with the divine lights, like that. So it is also taken under the nervous tonic. See how beautifully they are covered in this. So okay, next, brain and paralysis and tension. See, tension 10 mm is our one of the, I told you, I add in the sleep mixture. I'll just kindly note what all I mix in the sleep mixture. That is calming mixture and mixture number 29. I'll just see 29 and 28. Yeah, 28. 28 is a sleep mixture. Insomnia is there in the Soham mixture, and after that sleep CM is there in the Soham mixture, and tension 10 mm and white chestnut in the Bach flower remedy, and that's it. You give only, I give it is in the evening time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Or if you don't get sleep, you can take one more time. How many drops? I give 30 ml of water infused with these remedies. What are these remedies? I again repeat once again. That calming, sleep, mixture number 28, and that white chestnut, that also in a vibronic form, and insomnia, in the Soham mixture we get it. Then sleep CM, that is in the Soham mixtures, and tension 10 mm, we give this, one gets a very good sleep. And you can, I tell you, by after completion of this, then you can start only a sleep healing center. Sleep healing center, and give this only this remedy. And these results are more than 70%, I can say. So, because any system cannot say that it's 100%. In this field, it is 70% result is more than sufficient. It means if you give 10 people, 7 people are going to come with a good result. They say, yes, I got a very good result. This happened just 2 days before only here. We gave him this combination for the sleep, and he was having a terrible skin disease. He called and said, yes, after 3-4 days, I got a very good sleep. So this is how, see, what you have first you have to think, what I am possible, what I am capable of. Then you do it. You do it on even our sir, Rajesh sir is there with us. He has given it for many people for the sleep. They all slept very well and good sleep, and it is not addicting. You can even leave that water, taking water, third infused water, still you will get a very good sleep. That is the thing. Okay, then I will come back to I was just talking about the tension. See, again, we saw Bro Chakra. Bro Chakra is here. Bro Chakra controls all our brain function. So, even it is believed that Bro Chakra connects to our pineal gland. So, like that. So, many things are there. This all is covered, head is covered by the Ajna Chakra, that is Bro Chakra. So, Bro Chakra is there advising for just to cover the brain activity. So, all other, that Crown Chakra, Bro Chakra and Crown Chakra, they are majorly used for, and the diamond they are using and they have found the triple Varma meridian, and see, all these are based on their experience. They have added, I already told, white chestnut they have added for repeated thinking or disorder of the brain, and the endocrine integrity. Actual name of this SR 290 endocrine integrity is endocrine chakra integrity. So it balances all these chakras, endocrine chakra integrity, and all these remedies. See, white chestnut and argentum nitricum. Argentum nitricum as generally most wonderful remedy for the anxious people, or you can say it, argentum nitricum creates all phobias, generally claustrophobia, and so many phobias it covers. What is that? Argentum nitricum, silver nitrate. How it is proved? It is proved on a homeopathic way. They are proved on the healthy subject, and whatever they found the symptoms, they are written in a book called Materia Medica. Yesterday I have shared those apps. It is only working in the Android. I will send the PDF format to those who are using iOS. Okay. Then see, endocrine over, then Naxomica, phosphorus, and Avina Sativa. We saw just it is there available in the even calming. Still we are using the Avina Sativa to strengthen that thought of relaxation. It is using basically for that. So you can, I live here covering all those that concerned with the brain activity, and you can say brain, pons, and the cranial nerves, and all nerves, optic nerves, and facial nerves, and auditory nerves, like everything is already covered in this OM18. Anybody? Yes, it is little difficult to make all these combination at a time, but those who are using my digital version, it is very, very easy. Just keep one side, mixture number 4, go there, just click it, set the potency, click it. So this combination 18.1 can be done within 15 minutes. Once you make it and store it, you can store it. You can make it the pills. So you can store those things, and for a future, whenever someone is coming, you can, if you think that his nervous system is affected, most of this it is required only, either digestive system or the nervous system. These are a major, and these are invisible things like nervous system and the nervous system and digestive system. Digestive system is visible. We will tell this problem, that problem. So like that, these are very important, which will cover most of the complete. You have to see in that way. So we'll go to the next complaint in the nervous system. We'll see what is that. Epilepsy. Epilepsy, there are, see here what they do, add CC 18.1. Means whatever we studied on the first, whatever we have studied, that to be added into this mixture. Okay. Again, there will be some repetition. To that will be to make the thought strong. Okay. So you see, epilepsy, spasm, and these are all mixture number. We have seen it, and the kidney meridian. By thinking all these great healers, they thought after if you add these healing remedies, it will cover the epilepsy. But still, what I say, we already know that in a Drugless Therapy Foundation, we all have agreed by our Google form that we will not stop or start, amend, or you can say correct the allopathic medication. Here we are not here to stop it. We can only complement the system, because this is a spiritual healing system. We can only complement. After that, if we get better, then it is a job of allopathic doctor to stop it, or you can say reduce it. Okay. So this is a very serious disease, because one person gets the epilepsy attack, fits while driving, while doing something, when some person is already in all industry, it is a compulsory that they take a undertaking that I don't have any epilepsy like that, because to see, life is very important. Once life is there, we can do any all other things. So they undertaking that I don't have any, or you can say they ask for a medical certification saying that we don't suffer from the epileptic attack and so. So what our duty is, you never stop the medication, let them take their own remedy. Along with that, you can give this supportive system. And so many other things will be there because of that. Those all you will find the changes. Then it is the allopathic doctor's job to control that medication. Okay. Then you see that next is paralysis. Again, we see that 18.1 is a common, because we are taking it on physical level, mental level, and also even spiritual level, like a kind of removal of anxiety and divine protection, and chakra, crown chakra, agnya chakra, all of they are there in the 18.1. So we take that, and also see here, even though it is paralysis, maybe because of lumbar compression. So that is why they are using CB7. CB7 is a wonderful remedy for controlling, nerve controlling, or you can say urgency in urination. All those things can be covered by CB7. It's a very fantastic, one of the very good remedy in such way. And BR18, skeletal, and this is a group for the paralytic effect. So you know why paralysis happened. We studied in the brain lessons. So either it can be focused or diffused. So where it is focused means which side of the brain it is affecting, the other side of the body is getting affected. So these are the most important remedies. Even paralysis means you can even use for the muscular dystrophy also. What happens in the muscular dystrophy? Muscles waste away, and they don't, the coordination will get loses, and the dystonia means that it will become thin. So for those things, even this paralysis, and even you can hear laterus and so many things, plumbum metallicum, all are used. These you can be even used for when someone come to us for the support of the spiritual healing system. We can give for even polio also. For that, those also we can give this combination. And next important is neuralgia. Neuralgia is a pain. Basically, pain in the so many places. See what are even vitamin I compound they are used here, and we studied why we get a pain because of calcium metabolism and inflammation, and some of the what you call gem remedies also used here. Sapphire used for nerves, and the stomach meridian governs most of our pain conditions. So spigelia and this you just go through, and we have one combined rate for this also. You may be aware, you can use a combined only single number for this. What number we can add here, just you can see and do. The 336 number directly we can. Yes. (18.5). I already supplied you all this literature. If someone is not having, I will send you that 4467 455. 4467 455. I will write into all other numbers also. I'll send you, so that with this you will be able to make the remedy from the machine. Okay, then what next? Next complaint is Parkinson's disease. I have given treatment for, or you can say, I have a person approached me with a Parkinson's disease. If when they take their medication along with our medication, they feel far better. Their dosage is, in what happens in Parkinson's disease, they use a Syndopa to balance the dopamine. So exactly the what level it is lacking in our body cannot be supplemented. Either it will be little more or little less. Based on that, one goes to the spasticity or flaccidity. Flaccid things, like someone get very stuck in the Parkinson. Someone gets very loose, they lose the balance and everything. See, think of it, when someone is losing the balance, what you will give? You use that. Cerebellum is a balancing mechanism in our body. So think about that. So it's already there in OM 27. We saw that it covers everything. So for that reason only they are using it here. Okay. So vertigo, this is also there. And since OM 18.1 is we are adding, it will cover everything. But still, some of these things are used here. And what are the nervous disorders? We already covered. Multiple sclerosis. Okay. So it is the nerve covering myelin sheath get destroys. For that reason, it happens. We have to see what is this, and it is all there in our numerical mathematical. We can address to directly that things. And now we know at this juncture that when we supply all the good nutrition by brain tissue salt and mixture 12, all tissue salt, so we can make it strong. If we get a good manure, that trees grows very well. But if you see, most today's food, it doesn't contain all the vitamins and minerals what we need. It is not there. So we have to correctly identify and advise the food articles what we are supposed to take during different health condition. See, we already covered in our this thing. See, progressive brain disorder affecting the memory, thinking, and behavior. We already covered in that OM 18. If we give, most of this will be covered. And disorder of the peripheral nervous system, like sensory neuropathy, in the diabetic neuropathy. Okay, damage of peripheral nerves are often caused by the diabetes and affected toxins and the symptom numbness, tingling, burning, pain, and muscle weakness. So we should first of all try to control this diabetes and the tingling, burning sign. All this we are already covered in the 18.1. So now this we will cover in the one more sheet. So which we will tell about all this complaint. So I think so. Have I supplied you this? Remedies and useful combinations. Here, all the complaints over that is covered. Yes, yeah, already it was explored. For that reason, it was not visible. We'll see. See, we have already studied the nervous system, include brain, nerve disorder, dementia, all the thing. See, here keep going one by one. Alzheimer's disease, what we cover in the next, and loss of speech. These are the remedies, and Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy means the facial paralysis. One side of the face get paralyzed. So for that reason, first we should know why it is happening. What is the most important remedy? Most important remedy in the homeopathy is the causticum. So, but we are not leaving other less important remedies also, cranial nerve and everything, and this is a most wonderful remedy, and this we should follow. Okay. Anyway, if someone comes directly, it's fine, or someone, the sooner they come for help, especially in paralysis, we will be able to help them with our Vibronics remedies. And cerebral hemorrhage, we have to see in the circulatory system. We will study. I already told you that particular, when the paralysis happening, that particular area, the blood vessel get ruptured. There the required amount of oxygen and mineral will not be supplied to that particular functioning part of the brain, so it get effects. So, okay, this is a common problem nowadays in the old age, dementia, or see, this is just simply follow this, the conversion table also, because it is directly referring to the card number. NM5 is just you go to the card. So many people have a card only. So just pick that card, and card number 5 will be brain TS only. Just read whatever there is a potency written over there, and you can set. If that potency is mentioned here, like medorinum, they are writing 1M. So that means on the card there will be 2 choice of the potencies. So you can choose the medorinum as set it to 1M potency. And here also you can see in the epilepsy, it is short form of short remedies, means the grouping remedies for it was previously, before making 108 combo, this was done. And the main person who involved in making this is a very good you can say mentor of mine. So I can say Guru Bandhu, you can call. So he has guided me, he has given me all those stuff, say that they have taken lot of days to compile this. So anyway, so you hear epilepsy, this is a remedy. Deformances and infantile convulsions, you can go this. And you know, infantile convulsion generally occurs because of the fever. So you should always, tell them to means control that fever, and that he should be, all children don't take risk, because every child is very, हर माँ बाप को प्यारा होता है. So don't take that risk. If they are your own child, or within a relationship, who has got a lot of faith in this Vibronics or spiritual system, definitely you can help. But along with that, keep the child on in a one children specialist, pediatrician. Let him take care of this child. So memory is the biggest problem nowadays. By using all methods, we are losing our capacity to store in the brain. So for that reason, this is a most important one. So memory, you can make a whole this system one remedy in the pills or in a water. Pills is most ideal, and multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis, how we are going to already OM20. Now we are able to give some justification to the remedies. Now see, multiple sclerosis is we have taken general remedy as OM20 and 121. We saw while explaining the brain, it covers most part of the brain. So even it and the nerves also, plastic, that paralysis, spastic, and histamine for for any allergic things and all. So these are fantastically covered. Yes, you should religiously follow this. If not, then you think about the other remedy. And nerve injury. Yes, one of the most wonderful effect is nerve injury. For nerve injury, the homeopathic remedy in here, in vibro homeopathic remedy is hypericum and L-N-C-P-A. And neuralgia for a nerve pain. What is that? Facial nerve. We have this trigeminal neuralgia, calmia, ecla lava, and iris vascularis. And around eyes. So very beautifully explained here. And first level, I suggest you to go for this list. Then you can think about other things. And see, paralysis, hemiplegia, and paraplegia, one-sided, rectum, paralysis of the rectum, and the sphincter muscles. That is what? For not able to control the urination. So Parkinson disease, in the restoring the speech, if someone loses that voice, and spasms, stammering, stammering and stuttering, and tremors. So this ends the water on the brain, hydrocephalus. You will get everything. They will come with all the reports, so that it is very easy to give the our Vibronics remedies along with the other treatment system. So now we end here. So is there any, you can ask me any doubt about this treatment part of the nervous system through our Vibronics. We'll be able to take it right now. And see, you want to take an individual part of that nerve or nervous system that is available in our numerical Maitreya Medica. So we can cover, and here we end this part, and we want to ask. See, you have, because at one stretch it is not possible to assimilate everything, but most of the things we are able to coordinate. I mean, okay, if this is happening, if this is happening, this may be the cause, like that. I know this 3 hours of continuous listening is a very, very difficult task. I think so. Talking for 3 hours is very easy. I can understand I understand that. So I appreciate your patience, and you go through it many times, and the required topic of your interest even within this video. And if you have any doubt, you can come, you can ask me. We will try to solve. I will refer again and again, try to clear the doubt, and we all together we will make it. If any such cases are there, we will be able to cover from the different angles to get the maximum benefit out of this Vibronics. Yes, sir. Yes, Ravi, sir. So this is a we'll close. I think so. It is a very.
Yes, sir, it is comfortable only, sir. It is comfortable only.
It's comfortable. Very
So,
nice.
sitting in 3 hour session, so covering all these points and everything, it is little
Yeah,
easy.
it is very,
You can
very,
understand, no issues.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. It is very in depth, but as per our spiritual healers concerned, our vibronics is concerned, see, we should know why it is happening and where we have to focus. Even focused prayers, focused intention works. For focusing, we should know what area we should focus.
Correct.
Sir.
Absolutely
Like-
right, sir. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Isha ji, any suggestions?
Yes, sir. I would suggest if you can provide PDFs for these combinations on the phone so that, it is easily accessible for us to carry the notebooks.
This PDF for the combinations already it is already given to many people. I'll send you again. No problem.
Yeah, not the hard copy. I mean, I'm looking for the hard copy, not the soft copy, so that you can have that in.
Yes. Hard copy will get. Yes. Murugesh sir, thank you for attending in your busy schedule.
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
Yes, sir. Okay.
ಓಕೆ.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. And if you have any particular doubt, or you can say you have any cases like that, we will discuss offline, and we'll try to make it some more interactive. And I was telling today I will show that machine. Still, it is delayed due to some guests yesterday. So it will definitely be available. Just to make hand-on experimentation. Simple, all are trained. Just because we want to know why we are using this. Even I today never used the OM 20 and 21 for a brain disorder. But today I came to know that most of the brain disorders are covered in OM 20 and OM 21. So this is how, even teaching will help us to learn a lot. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Definitely, we'll make it a great journey, sir. Thank you.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.